So the weekly reset happened upon us yesterday, and you know what that means. We got the 5% increase to all our damaging abilities as a result of the class tuning hotfix. In addition to this change, Blizzard fixed a couple of bugged interactions with Rank 3 Chaos Strike. Previously, Rank 3 Chaos Strike, which is the 10% damage increase rank, was not applying to Annihilation. Now it does. Blizzard also took it upon themselves to fix an issue where the main hand portion of Chaos Strike was dealing too little damage. By fixing this, overall, we received a 2% damage increase, on top of the 5% we received due to the hotfix. My question is, does this set of changes fix the problem that our single target damage previously felt lackluster? I would say no, it doesn't. Before, I was inclined to say that simple damage tuning and the possibility of adding a spell like Chaos Blaze to our arsenal might have been enough to bring Havoc back into the green. Now that I've had a week from my last video to ponder and collect my thoughts further on this discussion, I believe that some of the fundamental aspects of the specialization need to be changed first, and only then can we extrapolate whether Havoc still needs damage tuning. Let me raise a couple of points your way. Firstly, let's talk about Demon Blades. Demon Blades is a talent on the level 25 row that replaces your main Fury generating tool, Demon's Bite, and says, your auto attacks have a 60% chance to deal additional shadow damage and generate Fury. Now, this tooltip is incredibly vague. How much Fury is it generating when it procs? The game doesn't really do a very good job of making that information clear. But I can tell you that when it procs, you'll receive between 12 and 20 Fury. When you're playing with Demonic and First Blood, and you go to initiate on a target, you want to sequence your abilities like this. Immolation Aura, Fellblade, I-Beam, and then Death Sweep. Then ideally, you want to pump as many Annihilations into the target as possible, before ending the Demonic window with another Death Sweep. Because of the random nature of Demon Blade procs, and the random nature of how Fellblades resets, and the random nature of how Chaos Strike refunds Fury, the amount of annihilations that you can perform during meta from Demonic varies drastically from window to window, between 1 at the absolute worst, all the way up to 4, if you're very lucky. This creates a feel-bad scenario when you don't get lucky, and you can only press 1 annihilation during the window. Annihilation is by far the most damaging button you can press during Metamorphosis. So when you can't press it, you can visually see your damage start to suffer. The underlying issue here is that I said the word random 3 times during that last sentence. When so much of that playstyle is out of your control, it very quickly becomes grating to play, because you feel like the game is screwing you out of your ability to do good damage. In my last video, I said that by using Insatiable Hunger, you have complete control over how much fury you generate with Demon's Bite. This allows you to create demonic windows that consistently allow you to press 3 annihilations and still end with Death Sweep before meta ends. This feels so much nicer to play, but it comes with an issue of its own. Demon Blades for me sims about 250 DPS more than Insatiable Hunger. 250 DPS difference between talents on a single target is a big deal. So now I'm pigeonholed into this playstyle where I'm rolling the dice every time I enter the demonic window. Pooling Fury beforehand isn't a viable option because you should be pressing I-Beam and Blade Dance on cooldown, or else you lose quite a bit of DPS. And pressing I-Beam begins this strict window of 6 seconds where you need to begin and then end with a Death Sweep. This is leading to a fair bit of variance on damage done from pull to pull. I feel that Demon Blades needs to be made more consistent with how it generates Fury. Don't forget that auto attacks can miss, and on average will miss about 20% of the time against a boss target. Your attacks cannot proc Demon Blades if it doesn't hit, which in turn affects the percentage rate that you receive in Fury. This should seek to fix those moments where you lack the resources needed to press a button during those crucial moments like demonic windows, and instead have to press something like throw glaive, which by the way feels like you're throwing a wooden fucking spoon at something. Second of all, I want to talk about First Blood. An opinion I hear echoed throughout the Havoc community is that First Blood should be made baseline. I personally think that it should be baseline, because it fixes the issue of blade dance being absent during your single target rotation if you don't pick First Blood. By making this change, it would also mean that you aren't forced into taking First Blood if you happen to be using the Chaos Theory legendary, because you already have it. Chaos Theory is currently a very competitive choice for single target. Let's face it, First Blood isn't an exciting talent. It just adds damage to a button we already want to press. Have you seen the animation on Blade Dance? It looks awesome. I love pressing that button. This would mean, of course, that Blizzard would have to make another talent to replace the slot it currently fills on the tree. And that would mean we essentially get an extra talent in the process. This could serve as the final push needed to put our single target damage back into the realms of where we want it to be. So overall, it's not a bad idea. If these two issues were sorted, then I would feel that not only Havoc would be feeling better to play as a spec, but it would also allow Blizzard to make a more informed decision on how to handle tuning for the single target damage profile a spec has. I'm simply just looking for more consistency. In my last video, I mentioned that Trail of Ruin is straight up outclassed by Glaive Tempest anywhere outside of PvP, and I want to address that point by saying that I was wrong. Upon acquiring the Chaos Theory Legendary, I found that Trail of Ruin is simming better than Glaive Tempest on a single target. At first I thought it was because of how my secondary stats were distributed, but after playing with the Legendary for a little bit, I realized it's because Chaos Theory shifts your rotation priority so heavily by demanding that you pump all of your Fury into Chaos Strike when the buff is up. Glaive Tempest feels really clunky when you're running this legendary because of the 30 Fury cost. You really don't want to have to budget that Fury on Glaive Tempest whilst you're in that 8-second buff window created from the legendary. And of course, not pressing Glaive Tempest on cooldown leads to a DPS loss. So at that point, you might as well go for the alternative in Trail of Ruin. Just something to consider if you're playing with Chaos Theory. Glaive Tempest, of course, becomes better again when you add a second target, and remains to be the best choice all the way up to 5 targets, where it caps. So, if you're on a fight with 2 or more targets, I would consider choosing a different legendary and picking Glaive Tempest as well. Overall, I'm having a lot of fun progressing through Castle Nathria, but it would be exponentially more fun if the issues with Havoc I outlined were fixed.